It's been a long day. I suppose I've deserved a little bit of a tipple.
By all means.
What the fuck is a tibble?
A tipple. A tipple.
That clarifies nothing.
A tipple. A little
that does
drink.
not help your case whatsoever.
A little drink of alcohol.
A little nip.
Yeah, a little nip.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really want to relate to use the vernacular of industrialists who are no longer alive.
I'm Squonk Tipple.
How many takes did you do that? Really?
One take.
Seriously?
Yeah, I wrote out a thing and then I just gave up halfway through doing it. I was like, yeah, fuck it.
I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Had a little bit of fun that today. Yeah, that was that. I mean, because I saw it first because you had quote tweeted it, Dwight. The Utah governor race, the Democrat and Republican doing this, like, you know, what is it called? The White Wall soundstage thing where they're both they're standing in this like fucking Matrix construct space, being like, hi, I'm the Republican and I'm the Democrat, and even though we both agree on everything, and as if it's like this positive gesture, you know, and it's like this meaningless like thing, and I wanted to respond to it, and I was trying to think of like a way to satirize what they were saying, because there's obviously that element of like, you know, there's kind of like the obvious political critique you can make there, right? Which is like the fact that they're like announcing that they have no differences is not a good thing, but actually like quite the opposite, even just through the lens of like liberal democracy. It's a way to just demonstrate how little of a choice that there exists between those two.
Then why have elections?
I think it's really funny too, because like the Republic, I looked into it, like that Republican is gonna win in a fucking blowout. Like for the Democrat to even agree to do that is just like the most cucked move.
Right, exactly.
It's like, you know what I'm saying?
It's a totally performative thing because it doesn't actually like move anybody's thing. It's like this weird like media gesture. And so anyway, you know, in terms of like thinking about that and like wanting to satirize it or whatever, I realized like there's not even like a point in at least at that moment for me to satirize it in like a clever way. That's just a perfect example of just when somebody just needs to be made like there's no other way to respond to it. And the idea, like, I mean, I've brought this up before, folks, and I've told you guys about this, but you know, part of the absence that I've had on the show was to like focus and do this like schoolwork, and just so much of it is this language about like the civility and compromise and stuff, and I want to like fucking blow my brains out. I can't fucking stand listening to it anymore. Why?
Then why have academia?
Why question anything?
Exactly.
Why have any diversity of opinion on anything? The whole notion that like it's good in and of itself to compromise obfuscates like concrete differences, not even in like a broad material level, but even in the like the weird culture politics shit that the Democrats and the Republicans have over like, you know, key reproductive health questions. Where is the compromise? There is no compromise. God, I was at this talk thing with this guy today, and he kept talking in this like language, and he kept saying like he was like talking historically about the like long-term trends in like American politics, and he was talking about like, oh, here, you know, in the 60s and 70s, like XYZ Republican was a moderate on race. I was like, what does that mean? What is a moderate opinion about that? It seems to me there's a normal opinion and a bad one. Like, where's the moderation? Like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm moderate on human life. I'm moderate on, like, whether or not you get shot in the head in the morning. I have a moderate position on that. What the fuck is that?
It would have been more productive if that Democrat came out and was just like, the candidate I am running against is an actual vampire, and he sleeps in an Iron Maiden every night, and he drinks sheep's blood instead of brushing his teeth, and he will kill your children. Like, that would be more politically productive than what he did. And factually
true. It would have been much more factually accurate. You know, Carrie actually brought this point up to me when I showed her that video. And like, because there's a moment in there, right, where like they're both like, you know, and we are both committed to the peaceful transition of power. And for me, like, if if the meta political discourse is at a point where you have to say that, you're over. It's done. Like, bye-bye. Yeah. Like, the whole idea that, like, we have to go out and be like, like, not shooting your political enemies against the wall is what is the fundamental structure of us making decision making, then your system has collapsed. I'm sorry. Like, if you have to make that argument, it's over. It's done. And if it's not the case that you're actually under a threat of that happening, then it's just performative bullshit. Then it's just like, you might as well go up and say, like, look at me. I'm not physically assaulting my opponent right now. Aren't I so good?
Like, what did they say about who was the fucking the single congressman from Montana that fucking body slammed, like choke slammed?
Yes.
Wasn't it Ben Jacobs?
I don't remember his name, but yeah, there was a couple incidents. Yeah, he body slammed a reporter. Among other things, there were like a couple other like insane outbursts that he had.
Where's the outrage? Like, what are you doing about that? Man literally physically assaulted the press for asking him, like, easy questions. I even found out today that Michael Steele has endorsed Biden.
Sure.
And I was like, who cares? A.
Right.
B, like, there's no single person on earth out there waiting to be like, I don't know who to vote for.
Right.
I gotta wait until Michael Steele.
Right. No, and that's I kept having the same thought like during the first presidential debate and the vice presidential debate, because like I was watching them on CNN, and CNN would have like make such a show of having like their in-studio panel of undecided voters to like discuss watch the debate and then like consider both sides and figure out who they're going to cast their vote for. And I was like, these are the stupidest fucking people in the country. These are literally the stupidest people in the country that you're pandering to. If you think about Michael Steele, like, the only time I want to hear from him, if he was the Republican National Committee chairman coming off of the Bush years, the only time I want to hear from a person like that is through plexiglass at The Hague. Yeah, speaking of that, there's been a number recently of like opinion of like op-eds I've seen about how important like George W. Bush, he has to be the one to step forward and endorse Biden, show that the Republican, like the Trump Republican Party is not the real Republican Party. Like there was this like, I think it was on CNN's website or something. There was some fucking op-ed I read like a week ago. It made me, I did a thread about it. I was so angry. I wanted to have it almost made me have a fucking aneurysm. But like it was written, like I see the headline and it's like bad enough. But then like you click on the article and it's like written by two former Bloomberg advisors.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, it's oh God, it's so awful, man.
I think George W. Bush should endorse Joe Biden. But under these specific circumstances,
go ahead.
There should be a recreation of the mission accomplished landing. And George W. Bush, the update here, right? We're bringing it to the year 2020. He should be flying in an F-35. And when he lands, right, he should get ejected out of the seat, be decapitated, and then the plane just explodes.
It's what happens.
Thanks the carrier.
Could you imagine Donald Trump doing that exact same thing? Could you imagine Donald Trump like landing on the deck of an aircraft carrier and like an F-16 and like getting out and like then like Boris Yeltsin dancing to Macho Man or whatever?
Jesus Christ. What did you point out, Chris? What were the songs that he like exclusively comes out to?
So yeah, he's YMCA. Like I really want to like someone's got to make like a supercut of, because he's been doing it at every rally. He's been doing a rally every day for the past week and a half. I almost, by the way, you guys know this. I almost went to the one in Macon on Friday. I really, really wanted to, but I also didn't want to die, or have people get mad at me for like I'm going to that petri dish. But like
part of me was hoping that you would do it for the lulz, but also I'm glad that you're alive.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But he's been coming out and dancing to YMCA, if you can call it dancing, in every rally. But it's not just that. It's funny. It's that, and it's Fortunate Son
Yeah.
Like,
Do they know what it's about?
I know. And like even also
Read the lyrics!
and then Born to Run also, Bruce Springsteen, which is excuse me, not Born to Run, Born in the USA.
Yeah.
Which like it's so funny to me because like you think about like the Venn diagram of like the circles of like people who like Bruce Springsteen's music and like people who agree with Bruce Springsteen politics are like on opposite sides of the fucking planet. You know what I'm saying? Like like an audience full of Trump supporters is the kind of person that likes Bruce Springsteen's music. But I think they also get off on the fact that he's like trolling them by playing their music against their will. Like I know like Neil Young several times has like bitched about him using his music at his rallies, and he's continued to do it.
I thought I seem to remember during the 2016 Republican primary, Springsteen like said to Ted Cruz, "You can't use my thing," and Ted Cruz had like a little like, "Well, I still love the boss."
Oh God.
Like,
That was pretty good, by the way.
oh, thanks. I've been working on my Ted Cruz.
Riddle me this.
Okay.
I was thinking about, I'm like, it's 2 weeks away, the election. It's 2 weeks. Like, I can't, like, and I feel like we, or at least me, but like, I feel like we have been in a weird kind of slump, in a weird kind of depression in the last, like, 4 days, because there's not, like, insane, intense hypocrisy and insanity coming out through the news. It feels like it's slowed up in some way, and I can't put my finger on it, and I don't know why. And maybe that's because Trump is sitting coughing, drowning in his own phlegm or something.
Well, I think part of it is, like the right-wing media sphere is like trying to make everything about Hunter Biden's laptop and all that sort of stuff. And which is a story, and there's stuff there that's, I mean, like the Biden campaign hasn't denied like the context of those the content of those emails. It hasn't said they're fake. It hasn't denied the veracity of it. And like, setting aside like, the crack smoking and all that sort of stuff, that's all fine. Who gives a shit? But like, I mean, like the Hunter Biden shit, like it is really fucking like nepotism and obvious corruption. And like, it's very blatant, and like, in response to that article being published in the New York Post, I mean, the Biden campaign's barely commented on it at all. And like, like your sort of liberal media outlets seem really content to just completely ignore that story and hope it goes away. In fact, like I've been saying this, like for Twitter and Facebook to like censor that story and to censor links to that New York Post story, that's pretty wild to me. And it's like an incredibly stupid thing to do, because you're playing completely into their hand, because then they get to scream like censorship or whatever.
You know what I was thinking about in terms of that? Because obviously this is like a discursive move that's been used a lot in the last 4 or 5 years with like, the right-wing social media people, and not just like the big ones, but like all the little tin pot wannabe pundits and stuff, like and the alt-right kind of people and that whole sphere, right? Alt-right of the, claiming the big liberal tech companies or censoring them or something. I was trying to craft this thought, and I'm gonna see if I can just fucking riff it live. Let's go.
Hit it, man.
Let's see. That like there's in a lot of the literature that I've been reading about that like deals with this stuff, there's a lot of talk about this being this like kind of new maneuver, and the more that I think about it, the more it seems entirely in line with right-wing media strategy for like the last like 40 years, 50 years, going back to like maybe like the beginning of like Nixon and the Southern strategy, the whole like framework of the silent majority, and then like building off of that, like right-wing talk radio, like always positioning themselves as an underdog. Mm-hmm. And then like, Fox, right? Like just as a network, always positioning itself as like against the liberal media, when in fact, like at the same time, claiming rightfully so that they have the highest singular viewer base out of any of the major news network channels, right? Like always claiming this minority status. And so that, that goes back in the American media sphere for at least like that period of about like 50 years. And then like, again, that is also like has been the like fucking Nazi and fascist strategy, right? To claim minority status for what is effectively like a majority, or at least a plurality of people, like conservative people, right? Like to constantly be like, we're under assault, like we're being censored, we're being silenced. And it's like, you have the presidency. You have the Supreme Court for a generation. You have like the legislature. And you have the most powerful outlets. Like you have the ones that have the biggest reach, like, I don't know. It's again, this is a live riff, Shano's Brainos uncut. I have no conclusion to this.
But despite
fucking sucks.
Despite being like a minority of people, like a majority of people aren't like, spending their time doing fascism every day.
Well,
what do you count? The U.S. military.
I count a lot.
I mean,
2/3 of this program.
It's like, who is it? Do you think? Is it me? Maybe.
Kill the fascists in your head.
And I've been thinking about this too a lot. Like, the majority of American citizens are non-voters. Most people don't vote. So, like, and not to mention that, like, voting, again, isn't even the strongest prong in the multi-pronged approach of, like, political change. Like, somebody that says, I don't follow politics, I don't know how to put this. I think there's probably two possibilities when I hear somebody saying, like, I don't follow politics. One is politics has shown them no change because there's effectively, like, a single party. And, like, as we were talking about with the goddamn Utah shit, like, there's no difference in voting for the Republican or for the Democrat. They're not going to materially change your lives, in the, not, at least not close enough to follow electoral politics every 2 to 4 years. But also the person that might say I don't follow politics isn't marginalized enough to be the recipient of, like, feel the change in tides of policies and shit. But, like, the thing that I can't stop thinking about this week, and I just can't get it off of my brain, is, like, just how much into corporate feudalism we are. And, like, how I may have been playing GTA multiplayer and talking occasionally.
Wait, hold on a second.
Listen, man,
I need you to say again what you were playing.
I was playing
that phrase, GTA multiplayer.
Yes.
Okay, that's what you're running with.
Basically, it's me being blown to smithereens by, like, 14-year-olds.
You mean Grand Theft Auto Online? Is that what you're playing? Or?
That's yeah. Okay. Again, I'm not a gamer, but, like, I'm, like, so fucking sick and dying of, like, sitting alone and feeling the crushing weight of not being able to do anything, that I'm just like, well, the most thing that I can do is consume and just, feel homeostasis at the least, instead of feeling, like, depressed and shit. And are you guys familiar with, and again, I'm not a scholar here, but Karl Marx's theory on alienation?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple, man. I mean, it's just basically like, if you're a wage worker, if you're the factory worker, again, this is in the lens of industrialized capitalist Europe, but, like, you go to work every day and you don't do anything except this menial task that sucks joy out of you and disallows you from, like, enjoying things that the only thing that you can do is, like, consume instead of create, because you're so just, like, worn down and inured. And that hit me as I was also being hit with a fucking frag in GTA.
Like, on that, the alienation of capitalism is, like, so much more acute nowadays, because, like, at least back in the day, like generally, like, if you worked in a factory or a warehouse or something or whatever, you had some sort of trade, like, you probably, like, lived in the town and, like, with the other people that worked at the same place, and you guys would walk to work together and walk back from work together. You know what I'm saying? And you had at least that sort of, like, connection through which you could, perhaps awaken some kind of class consciousness and form unions and that sort of stuff. But, like, now, like, with everything, like, we're so disparate and we're so, like, like suburban living and everything, like, especially nowadays with the quarantine, it's so fucking grim, man.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody is so completely alienated from everybody else.
I mean, like, Chris, like you were saying, I mean, that was the whole premise of the positive element, prescriptive element of, like, original Marxist theory, was that, like, you have these, like, literal armies that are all working in the same factory, right? That all clearly share the same relationship with the like owner of that factory. You know, like hundreds of people working on like a shop floor, and then like outside of that, like everybody working in the same trade or whatever. That it was easy for them to like find those points of relation, you know, because those social ties were existing. And obviously, you know, when you move into like a service economy, that gets more fragmented. And like,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I mean, if it's okay to share this, I mean, I know, like, Chris, you were sharing with us, you know, like trying to do some of those like gig.
Oh man! Oh yeah!
Like those. I mean, it's a what a more perfect rendition, like a physical rendition of that alienation, where it's like you're now like doing a job where like your only relationship is like through this like individualized bit of technology, where it's like it's not like you're even in like a dispatch center with like a bunch of other people who are like waiting to see if they can pick up a shift or a job or whatever. You're just like sitting in your car waiting to see if somebody like wants you to be their servant for $6 or whatever's the way you put it.
So anyway, quickly transitioning. I don't know. I just saw, speaking of that Hunter Biden story, I just saw, take this with a grain of salt.
Oh boy.
But
Is this from news123.biz or something?
Jack Posobiec just tweeted, breaking Rudy Giuliani, and I don't see Rudy Giuliani's announcement of this, but he says, Rudy Giuliani has announced that he has turned over Hunter Biden hard drive to Delaware State Police due to pictures of underage girls and inappropriate text messages.
No.
So, I don't know.
No way.
I don't know what if that's true. What took Rudy so long to do it? He's had to think for months. I mean, he's making copies of all the pictures, I guess. I
mean, in fairness, you've texted with the man, Chris. You know he's not that swift with technology.
Yeah, I really want to. He has the same. It has been confirmed to me that he has the same number.
Is he just not responding to you?
He's not. He hasn't responded to me again. He blocked my number, but I texted him from a Google Voice number.
I had to get a new phone recently because my old one was shattered to smithereens. And when I was importing the contacts over, I still have Rudy's number. I'm just enough burnt out and stressed to give him a little on-air ring.
Call him.
I would be into it. What's wrong with that? Do you know what you would say? Hey, Pokey Schmeckle.
yeah. It would be in that genre. I don't really have a good bit.
Do it. Let's see what's the worst that could happen.
Really. What's the worst that could happen? Let's go. Speakerphone.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice.
I got no. I did.
1.
You're gonna have to bleep out the whole.
We don't want to be responsible.
You have finished recording. You may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey Rudy, this is Squank Johnson. We met at the RNC a couple while back. I was wondering, I got photos of Hunter Biden and me together on one of the trips we took, and I know you've been in contact with a couple of the guys, you know, the circuit. I love the circuit. By the way, big fan of 9/11. So give me a call back, and I can share some of what I got with you. We could exchange notes. We could become best friends. Go to each other's birthdays. All right. Talk to you later. We'll see if I get a call back for that.
Fucking blackout.
We really have to bleep his number, though.
I mean, that's really, I don't know. I've thought about it. Like, I don't think Rudy is not what I would call lucid under the best of circumstances. I think if you catch him at the right time, if you could get him on the phone at like 3 a.m, he might confess all kinds of shit to you.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why when you were saying like he's been copying the hard drive for months, I'm thinking about like all the tweets he does that are just like IMG 493.jpg, like just the text rendition of that. I have a feeling like to him, it's like a tesseract looking at a hard drive. He has no idea how to like fucking unlock it or whatever.
Oh my god, I'm in so much pain. Oh man, we should do more of these.
This is the big bucks.
I have a lot more people's phone numbers.
Really?
I mean, I'll do more Squank Johnson.
Regular old jerky boys. The only person of
man.
note, who's, I think I've talked about this on the show before, that I've got in my phone, who I used to correspond with when I got blacked out occasionally in the early 2000s, is General Butt Naked, the war criminal from
that's right. Yeah.
Liberia.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good chance they've changed them by now, but if they're the same numbers from a year ago, I have Dan Bongino, Ben Shapiro, Eric Prince.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Tucker Carlson, yeah. It's true, man.
Oh, Jesus. Shane, what really got me was that guy that you just did is exactly the kind of guy that would hang around Rudy Giuliani at nearly any point in his career.
Well, I think, no, it's funny because like when we got Rudy's number last year, and like me and Mike texted him like the same day, and Mike texted him like, all the boys back home are rooting for you, Rudy. And he like texted back, who is this? I was like, tell him it's Frankie Donuts. He knows it's Frankie Donuts.
Yeah, I met you at the Boss Bagel about 2 months ago.
That's the thing too, because like you were saying, like, you know, with that voice, right? Like, obviously, you know, I like to do that voice, and people will say to me like, that's this like ludicrous character and stuff, and it's like, those are like people I grew up with.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like those are real people. There's a slight embellishment or a slight thing, but like the amount of guys I know who talk like this is unfathomable. I actually have a good story that I teased a little while ago.
Hit us with it, man.
I might have told you guys this one privately, but I teased it online. But this is just for the fans. There was a guy I knew who talked just like that, whose name was Jimmy. I don't remember his last name, but it was Jimmy from Staten Island. And when I was growing up, my dad worked on Staten Island. He was a chef, and he worked at this German like brew house thing. Of course, nobody ran it was German. It was all guys like this, like, hey, we got a German fucking brew house. We got the beer. We got the fucking bread. And there was a woman there who was a waitress, and her brother was Jimmy. Right? And so I was like a teenager, and I would work occasionally at the restaurant with my dad, or I would like go to meet him after he got off his shift. I remember there was one time, at the time, you know, I was like 16 or whatever, I had like a ponytail. I would like go and like hang out in the restaurant waiting for my dad to be off when I wasn't working there or whatever, and I would like, I remember there was one day I had like a book of poems. It was like T.S. Eliot, and one of the guys came over to me and was like, What do you got there? What the fuck is that? He said, oh, this is it's a book of poetry. This is T.S. Eliot. He was like, get a load of Joe College over here reading a fucking book. Look at this fucking kid. What are you doing? And so, anyway, so Vanessa's brother was Jimmy. Vanessa was having like a New Year's Eve party, and my dad was like, do you want to go to this? And I was like, absolutely. There's nothing more on earth I want to do
Hell
when
yes.
I'm 16, 17 years old than go to this fucking house party on Staten Island. And I went there, and like among the other characters that were there was this another guy who talked just like that, was a little bit older, in his like 40s or something. Or maybe he was in his early 20s. It just looked like absolute shit. Because all of these guys had ruined their bodies. I mean, this guy was like missing teeth and shit. And he was like, hey, kid, come here. I want to show you something. And he brought me into the kitchen, into this back room. And he took out this just like plastic Tupperware of black liquid. And he opened it up. And he was like, yeah, smell this. And I smelled it. It smelled horrible. And he's like, that's pure grain alcohol.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay. And he's like, I wash my balls in this. It's like, okay. He's like, you want to drink it? I was like, no, thanks. He's like, I'm going to drink it. And so then he drank it because everybody was getting fucked up at this party. Anyway, so this is where I met Jimmy. I played like a couple hands of poker or something with Jimmy. And Jimmy was like 22 years old, looked like Chris Christie, just an unfortunate guy. And I had a fun night fucking around with him. He was like, hey, yeah, kid, the thing you gotta know when you grow up. Again, he was like 4 years older than me. The thing you gotta grow, you grow up, everything is fucking bullshit. Blah, 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 blah. So I met him, fun character. I smoked some weed with him. I had some drinks. 2 or 3 weeks later, Jimmy died.
What?
And I found out about this because I talked to Vanessa. I went to back to the restaurant, and she was like, she was really upset. She was like, my brother Jimmy died. You met him. And I was like, what happened? And so apparently he had like a cyst in his mouth, like something wrong with his teeth, and he had been in pain like ever since that New Year's party. And everybody was like, Jimmy, you gotta go to the dentist. He was like, nah, I don't go to none of the fucking doctors. They're all Jews. I don't believe in that. They're all fucking crooks. Blah, blah, blah. And then one day he woke up dead. And so I got invited, because I had been at this party, I got invited to like his funeral service. And my dad was like, do you want to go to this? And I was like, absolutely. I'm 16 or 17 years old. There's nothing more in the world that I want to go to than Jimmy's funeral. So I went there, and I went to like the after thing, and it was like a party, like a memorial party, again at somebody's house on Staten Island. And everybody was just blind drunk and just fucking blazing joints, and just like
Sending
here's one, pour one out for Jimmy, like every 5 minutes, just obviously it's sad. And so apparently Jimmy's favorite thing to do in the world was he would go down to the beach. We would get dune buggies if we could. If we couldn't, we'd drive, our parents' SUVs. And the thing is, you drive them at full speed on the beach, and then you turn really quick so the car would flip over 4 or 5 times.
What the fuck?
That was like the recreational activity that they did.
Christ.
And so it's like, it's unfortunate Jimmy died of the tooth thing, but like, let's be real. What was the long-term longevity of that activity? So they were like, everybody got worked up, like telling these stories about Jimmy going to the beach. There was one time he wrecked my mom's car. Oh, he wrecked my mom's car too, and my mom's car. I'm talking about their parents' cars that they fucking destroyed. And they're like, let's all go. Let's go right now. Let's go to the beach. And then they're like, wait, hold on a second. None of us can stand straight. Well, we can't go out there. So instead, the compromise they had was like, Jimmy's second favorite thing to do was to ruin the tires on a car by going around the block as fast as you could and then hitting the brakes. So they decided to do that instead. And the house, Staten Island's like hilly.
Yeah. So
the house is on a slight hill. So the block around, you'd go up and down. So they all started like fucking drag racing their cars around the house. And then as they were coming, going up to, 70, 80 miles an hour. And this is like a residential, like suburban neighborhood, And then as they were peeling down, on the hill, like down on the side of the house, they all hit the brakes as hard as they could to like stop the car. And the fucking entire street got filled with burnt asphalt. And like we're the point where like the tire was coming undone onto the street.
Jesus.
It smelled awful, and they ruined the tires on all their cars. And they're like, Jimmy would have loved this. I can't drive home now. I'm stuck at his mom's house. This would have been classic for him. And, lest you think that I'm making fun of some parochial subculture or whatever, like, first of all, I was there. And second of all, like, overwhelmingly Trump country.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
this group of people.
Oh, yeah.
So literally everybody who lives in
bad for
Staten
them.
Island is a cop.
Yeah.
You won't see one Biden sticker in Cotton Hill.
So those, that whole, like, it's like a few neighborhoods, a few, like, breweries, a garbage dump, and a prison.
Yep.
That's what that island is.
No schools listed, I noticed.
Those are the guys, by the way, who 10 years ago, if you asked them, and I think Jimmy actually said this to me at the thing, he was like, politics is all bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. And are like 100% now, like, Mr. Trump, I would die for you. I would do the fifth crusade for you. I would lead the children's crusade to the city of Acre.
I would drive my 1997 Chevy Lumina until the fucking wheels fall off for you.
So then, like, to spend like a lifetime idolizing like Tony Soprano, like The Godfather and stuff like that, and then like all of a sudden in the age of Trump to have like a fucking like thin blue line, like Blue Lives Matter flag and shit. Yeah,
what a change.
I mean, again, it's sad that this one guy. I mean, again, he was like 21 or 22 when this happened. It is sad, a young man died or whatever. But if he had grown, he would be late 30s now.
Yeah.
100% would be like a Blue Lives Matter guy. He would be doing car videos while he was like flipping the car still on the beach.
Think of what we've missed, man.
This is what they took from us.
Yeah.
this is what they've stolen
and
from
much
us.
like Trump, choking on his own pus in his mouth. So sorry. It's so insensitive. Jimmy's dead, man.
May he rest in peace.
Jimmy, he would have loved it. He would have loved this.
Next time, when fucking let's see if we can get Jake Tapper to memorialize Private Jimmy from Totten Hill. He served this country well.
Well, I think I've told you guys. I don't know if I said it on the show or not before, but like when I first moved to Long Island, like a few years back, and I went like the first day I went there, like I went to this AA meeting, and it was like an all men's AA meeting, and it was like me and like 8 other people who were all named like Tony and Don and Frank and Tony and Tony and Don and Frank and like there was one guy. And like they're all in like fucking like sleeveless FDNY shirts and shit like that. And like remember 9/11 type shirts and stuff like that. I remember this one guy, like I was like overhearing him talking to someone like after the meeting. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to like, he's a contractor. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get a helper, but these fucking millenniums, they ain't got no work ethic. He kept saying like millenniums over and over again. Like, meaning to say millennials, obviously. But yeah, like that was like, I'd visited New York plenty as a kid, like growing up. I had family there, but like that was like my first experience moving there, And then I told you, like not too long after that, I've told you guys about this, was like I was in the gym and like I overheard these 2 guys,
yes,
like talking and like having this conversation about sports that was like literally like race science. Like, hey, white quarterback, nobody can beat a white quarterback. White quarterback, they read the playbook. It was like they study.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think when you were born in Staten Island or Long Island, like instead of like a immediate baptism or a circumcision or what any of these like traditional things they do to like a young man who's just born, I think they like get just like a cross section of a chicken parm and they stick it in your throat. Yeah. So you got this guttural fucking I'm 9 years old. I'm too old for this bullshit. I love my president. I got the pride of Sicily and Ireland in me.
Oh, dude. They've been doing a fucking some municipal project right around the block for the last like 6 months or whatever, and on the top of the excavator, on the top of like the backhoe, they have the American flag and the Italian flag, and I was like, mamma mia, how good is this? That's exactly what you want.
I worked with another guy later when I was in my 20s. I worked with this guy from Jersey who very, very Italian family, construction worker family, union, and like he told me that the thing they call cement in those communities is guinea gold.
No,
because you pour that out, you make money. That's guinea gold, right?
You haven't met my nephew? Are you kidding me? He does waterproofing and he does excavating. Are you serious? He just bought himself a brand new Buick Esplanade, LX edition.
And he soaked the whole thing in cement, and he did a 360 on the beach. By the way, when I say beach on Staten Island, what I mean is like open air, broken needle, fucking like trash heap.
Driving halfway into the Verrazano Narrows for a giggle. I mean, Jesus Christ, what happens to these kids? We used to have fun. We used to be, playing records for each other. Now these kids driving out fucking 400 miles an hour going down over the Goethals Bridge. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I love this guy.
He's a real guy.
This is every guy in the metro area. This is every guy in Long Island.
Yes.
This is the best blanket statement I've ever made.
Okay, I just thought of another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I
going back to our anti-Italian American roots, by the way.
I used to live in Sunset Park for about like 2 years. back when I was married, but I lived in Sunset Park, which is sort of like Brooklyn Chinatown.
Yeah.
But it passes through that area that connects. So I go with the Verrazano, like Bay Ridge and stuff. It's like
Fort
it's all
Hamilton.
near each other. Yeah. I was one stop away. I was at 9th Avenue, I think, on the D train.
Oh yeah.
That was my stop. But anyway, so I would travel into Manhattan to go to work, and this was I was in my like mid-20s, deep low depression time for me. Heavy substance use, and so like every morning on the train was just like a physical gambit of like, am I gonna throw up? Am I gonna shit myself? What's gonna happen? I'm just in my body processing the poisons that I'd put it through for the last 12 hours. And I remember one day I was on the train, I was so fucking hungover, and I was just trying to keep it together. And if you've been on a packed metro of any kind, but especially in New York City subway in the middle of summer, you know that feeling when like it's just like sardines, you're condensed or whatever. And there's a weird kind of social thing where sometimes you can accidentally like lock eyes with somebody. You don't mean to. It means nothing, especially if you're spaced out and you're tired and hungover. In the case that I was like standing over this guy who was sitting down with his friend. He was talking to him. Some, no neck, white Italian guy from Bay Ridge. And I was like standing right over him, and I guess I had locked eyes with him totally unintentionally. I was like staring at him, and he broke the conversation he had, and this was on like a super crowded train. Broke the conversation he had with his friend and looked up at me. He was like, "The fuck you looking at?"
No way.
I was like, all right, and immediately snapped out of it. I was like, sorry, man, I didn't mean to look at it. He's like, you're looking at me like you want something. I was like, I don't want nothing out of you. And I looked away. And then he looked at me. Now he was like staring deeply at me, and he said, like really defensively, "It's like you're looking like you want to fucking make love with me."
Whoa!
and
a lot of tension between you two.
And I was just like, I feel like you're projecting that. And he's like, "You fucking gay? You fucking gay?" And he turned to his friend. He's like, "This fucking guy looking at me." And it was just this like incredible amount of like just the insecurity of the masculinity there, to be like, I'm clearly like disinterested at that point, just hostile, just be like, all right, I want to get the fuck away from you. I moved to a different part of the train car, which is hard, when you're navigating, holding your fucking carrier bag and squeezing in between people. But just like the deep set of like that's the thought process for these kinds of guys, right? Like if another man looks at me, he's gay,
or he wants to fight,
or yeah, like what's gonna happen? Right. Like I have to instead of fight or flight, it's like fight or fuck with these guys. It's just so much testosterone is in their brain, like they have there's no outside thinking. It's such a weird I don't know. It's a very. I don't know. To me, it's like literally foreign. Like I don't have that sense where I've never had that feeling. Another man looking at me, just being like, "What the fuck?"
I would love to hear him describe that from his point of view. Like when he got home, Marie, check this fucking kid this morning. Are you kidding me? He had these golf ball eyes, and he was chewing his jaw.
Like Peter Lorre. He was staring into my fucking soul.
He's stinking like Uncle Jerry, after New Year's. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. He's like looking at my beautiful big blue eyes, and I'm looking into his brown eyes. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I've never seen a kid like this before. And he's reading fucking Nietzsche or some shit.
He was some kind of ethnic. I couldn't work it out.
Oh, wow.
I gotta call the doctor.
Can we air any of this?
Check it out with the ethnics. To be clear, we are mocking these horrible, toxic masculinity, racist guys. We are not.
It is for the greater good.
Yeah. But again, I mean, these are real people. You know what I mean? It's a very real,
it's really, this is, having lived in different parts of the country, having lived in the Midwest, having lived in the South, it is a great joy for me to live and work in New York City, where I get to interact with these guys, because it's the best. It's the best. There's so much room. I feel like I'm thinking about, Jimmy, rest in peace. It almost feels like there was a space there. Like there was a space where he was like, I don't give a shit about politics. It's like the system failed them and they had nothing. It was a blank slate at that time. And now, they've been spoon-fed a platform with fucking, neo-fascism and shit. It's like a perfect solution for them. But whereas there was a moment to be like, listen, I heard a lot of things about people not being too nice about unions. My fucking father's been in the fucking electric union for the last 40 years, man.
I mean that's part of the problem with like the political efficacy of like unions in the United States, certainly, right? It's like the way that for a while, because there was a moment in like the 19th century during the ascendancy of industrial capitalism and also like the high volume of immigrants, right, where like many of the proletarians working in the northern industrial centers were immigrants, and as a result they had these like kind of preset based communities. They were like more open to certain socialist ideals because they'd been present in like the European workers movements and stuff, and they were quite strong. And then that kind of like congealed in the 20th century into these like this kind of version of unionism where like I got mine.
Yeah,
like my group got mine.
Every one of those guys I met in New York is like a union fucking, electrician or whatever, and they're all just reactionary as fuck suburban guys,
right, exactly, yeah. Which again is so bizarre, right? If you look at it in terms of, the broader trend of left-wing politics, because you can be like, well, there's this cognitive dissonance there, right? Because like you have these guys who are literally for the entire time their family has been in the United States have been a part of some kind of union, or they were like part of that struggle. But now they're like totally into the right wing area of politics because of this like you said, this like bizarre reactionary culture stuff or whatever. And it's like, well, you're supporting the people who are like literally the ones attacking the unions that have given you the position and the economic promise and ability that you had to like advance from just like a poor immigrant to some kind of middle class life or whatever.
Dude, even fucking and interestingly, it really breaks down. And I was thinking about you, Chris, being in the Long Island and Staten Island, all that shit. And I'm like, it really breaks down the fucking idea of like a red state or a blue state. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's just maybe in electoral college terms, which is like an anti-democratic institution anyway. So like, why do we even think about this in terms of red state, blue state, when like within one of the quote bluest states in the nation, New York, like we have that diversity. It's fucking...
And these incredible, especially like Eastern Long Island, like these just incredibly strong right-wing strongholds.
Strong Island. Do you guys remember the secession movement? The short-lived Long Island secession movement?
No fucking way.
Yeah, it like...
Secede from where? The state? The city?
From the state. Yeah. From the state. And this was like 2000s, and it was all these kinds of guys. It was all predicated on like 9/11 cop hero discourse shit, right. And it was like we should.
They're gonna give them. They're gonna let them have a victory mosque. I ain't gonna have.
yeah, exactly. And they wanted. There was like some short-lived political movement, which I imagined was just fumbled by the inability for them to organize getting a party sub at the VA center or wherever they were meeting, the VFW hall. And like, but yeah, there were like a couple of guys who were like, like Long Island is Strong Island. It should be its own state. We're the biggest island. We're the biggest island in the Union. We shouldn't be tethered to these big cities. Because yeah, I mean, outside of like the really not even the 5 boroughs, because again, Staten Island, but like outside of like the 4 boroughs, which are like
4 boroughs,
liberal stronghold or whatever. I mean, most of fucking New York State, when you go upstate and everything, it's like
sure,
very very right
dude,
wing.
I was in fucking like Putnam County at a buddy's place, and we went to this lake, and they were like dudes in a boat with a Confederate flag off the back.
Yeah.
In fucking Putnam County, New York. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, I think I may have mentioned this on the show or whatever, but like I was upstate a few summers ago and in Sullivan County, and I would go jogging and stuff on the road there by the house I was working on, and very very Trumpy area. There were like Confederate flags again, where it's like can't make the argument that it's heritage, not hate, if the state was part of the fucking union.
Exactly.
It's literally just hate. But there's like illegal drag racing up there. and there was a trailer that had a car in it that was called the Trump Jr.
No fucking
and it was like
way.
and it was decked out, with every conceivable sticker and every mod you could put onto a car. It wasn't like a racing car. It was like a regular sedan with like all this shit attached to it, like colored bright red. And it was called the Trump Jr. in big letters on the back, and then underneath that on the bumper sticker it said "Make America Fast Again."
Oh please!
And I remember thinking like, there's two options here, and both of them are very funny. The first one is the car is called Trump Jr. because it's like this is the junior version of the big boy Trump, right? Like Trump's my president, so the car is Trump Jr. Or is the car named after Don Jr.?
Oh please!
That would be even fucking funnier.
Please, so much better. Then Trump, Don Jr. went on Instagram and was just like, the algorithm is being messed with right now, so, hope you guys see this.
It's funny. I've seen that video posted a million times, but I actually haven't watched it myself yet.
Oh, you're our Don Jr.
I know.
Beat guy, you know what I mean? You're supposed to give us the updates on what's going on with him.
The Don Jr. scholar.
I've been deep into QAnon shit.
I knew it.
Recently.
I knew it. Yeah. Anything we should know?
No, not really. Just gaining momentum, no end in sight. The same story.
Jesus Christ. That's no fun. That's so dark.
It's really grim. It really is.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's like, it's I don't know. I don't want to go off on another tangent here, but it's like I was talking about this to somebody online earlier today about the fact that it's like, there's no, because there's no like rigid set of beliefs for like QAnon, because like there's so many like Q, and there's been like R, there's been like people who've like been impersonators, and then there's people who like analyze and like break down the Q posts, and like everybody gives a different ideas. So it's like there's no like dogma. There's like everybody who believes it's got their own set of beliefs, and like that makes it so easy then to like roll whatever existing like conspiracy theories you already believe like in with QAnon, like chemtrails or like fucking flat earth or hollow earth or like lizard people or any of that kind of like existing sort of stuff that can then like be like made a part of like the larger like QAnon movement. And just because of that, like there's a lot of reasons, but that's like one of the reasons that it's just there's no end in sight. It's just going to keep gaining momentum, because like anybody who's like already kind of like predisposed to that kind of like conspiratorial thinking is gotten themselves wrapped up in it at this point.
Hey Shane, come here for a second. Baby Shane, come here. I want to show you something. You seen this? I gotta load up the computer. Roxy, turn the router on. All right, look at this. See this? This is you've been to college. This is the letter Q. All right. That stands for question time. So I'm gonna ask you some questions now. All right. Number 1, what did I know and when did I know it?
Oh man. Oh, that conversation is happening right now in Staten Island.
In every American household.
Oh no. I was thinking we could have a fireside chat. We'd be talking about what Hunter Biden's been doing. JFK Jr. has been part of the administration in the background. You haven't seen him. Michael Flynn is a free man. We don't need to worry about him. Frankly, I'm thinking about bringing him back as DNI.
It would be funny. Like I've been like, I think I did a post the other day about like Q dying of COVID. Like what if it's all true? Like what if JFK Jr. really was out there and was like just about to reveal himself, but then he got COVID and died. And like then we'll never know.
Lee Harvey Oswald Jr. gave JFK Jr.
Jesus.
COVID.
One death is
All right,
a tragedy.
Cut it then. No laugh.
A million deaths.
Cut any of my jokes that you guys don't.
Hey, where we go wrong, we go wall. Hey.
Hey, it's like my son's little league. Never mind. I'm cut that. Where I was going with that was very weird.
No, keep his thing in, but cut my thing.
No. Keep everybody's, but also cut Rudy Giuliani's phone number.
I say leave it.
Should I try him again?
Yeah, call him again.
Yeah, call him again.
Let's see. Let's go one more time.
Maybe I'll call General Butt Naked.
Let me go to recents.
Rudy, I noticed you didn't answer my call earlier.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Okay, all right. You gotta cut it again. The number.
Not available. At the Please record your
Gonna
message.
leave another?
When you have
Oh, I
finished
hope so.
recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey Rudy, it's me again. I'm just trying to figure out. I misplaced my steak sandwich, and I was trying to figure out where I put the goddamn thing. You know how it is with technology these days. Anyway, if you want to give me literally any of the information you got, I got this whiz kid over here. Joe College, he could figure it out. He could hook up the fucking N64 to the tube TV we got. So I'm thinking he's gonna be pretty good at analyzing the data. Anyway, big fan of yours, big fan of the boys. Let me hear back from you. If you don't call me back, I'll keep calling.
Oh, God. I'm going to fucking die. Oh, Jesus Christ. Shane.
Just having a good time, man.
We should do a slow rollout of one prank call every Eat the Rich Patreon episode.
I wish he would pick up. You know, it'd be more fun. I would roll with it. You know, I think I'm at this point where, like, again, via the school stuff, and I've told you guys privately a little bit about this, but like, it keeps putting me into contact with these people in various positions of like established power, and it's so weird. It's so strange because like I'm like hobbled in this position that I have in the university where like I can't in that forum say all the things that I want to say, but there's also not really then it's like, do I have the impetus to like go outside of that forum and like talk to that person and like confront them in the way? I mean, I finally had that breakdown today where I did that I showed you guys because I just couldn't fucking take it anymore.
And it was literally ignored. Is that true?
Yeah,
actively
exactly.
ignored. Purposely skipped over.
Yeah, and you know, it's a very strange situation to be in. I don't know, like it's very surreal. You know, it's very surreal to engage with the kind of standard electoral version of politics as we get now into this final 2 weeks or whatever before the election,
the end times,
and to have this kind of access in a certain way, but also this like weird like forbidden access with these various people in this position to be like, I don't know, man, it seems pretty bad. Like, based on my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a strange thing, you know. It's I don't know if I have anything too insightful to say at it with this level of abstract.
Yeah.
But
I just honestly I think about this a lot. Like, what if we were guaranteed dignity and a minimum standard of living by a government? We could stand up to bosses and we could stand up to people in power, unafraid of the fact that, like, you know, ourselves and our families aren't going to be cast into the American Thunderdome of capitalism or, you know, lose our position on Maslow's hierarchy. Like, we should be able to... there's a reason why we have to continue to sell our labor to somebody, because they don't want us questioning that same somebody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's buddy. I mean, you know, I sat and read all those things that you wrote this morning, and I was just like, why didn't I go to that Brett Stevens talk when I had an opportunity to 1 year ago?
For everybody wondering what the fuck we're talking about, I guarantee you within 6 months I'll be fired, and I can just say publicly everything I'm keeping close to the chest right now, because your old friend Shano, he's about to fucking break.
Dude,
he's at the limit.
I feel like this show, it's like when they say, like, you only use 10% of your brain cells. Like, if we had the opportunity to just unleash and not have to worry about our, you know, individual incomes and shit like that, I would be very interested in doing a hell of a lot more than we're doing now. But unfortunately, we're broke, so there's not much we can do about that.
You know, there's one person that they've estimated used way more outside of that limit, you know, that like 10% that usually is put up, which is also like a questionable threshold.
Sure.
Bin Laden.
Really? Do I know him from somewhere?
100% operating all cylinders. No. Just the limitless drug. That's what he was on. It's just
Oh,
You know, the gifs where like all the equations and things are raining down like Matrix code. That's the level he was working on. I gotta say, we haven't talked about it yet. I don't know if this is because we're coming out on time here, but like Bin Laden's niece.
oh,
What a fun time that is coming out. But what was it she said on Carlson's program? Right, she was like,
it was on Tucker
I've gotten-
Carlson.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, I've gotten more
harder. It's harder to wear like a MAGA hat than it is to have my last name.
No
Yeah.
fucking
so good.
way.
So good, dude.
No
so good.
fucking way.
I mean, she posted some QAnon shit not too long ago too. Pretty cool. It's like, I mean, that's like you're in like season 10 and the slump happened in season 7 and it's like, all right, we're gonna bring back some of those season 1 characters, you know, like just throw them back into the mix. You know, Ned Stark didn't really die. He's back, baby.
Osama bin Laden is Ned Stark in this example. Is that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Given the relationship the houses had with each other.
What
yeah.
a fucking
The,
joke.
the Bushes were the Lannisters.
I'm reading the New York Post article about her, and of course somehow they got in Ilhan Omar brought into this
Sure, why not?
article. Bin Laden didn't mince words about the squad either, and offered high praise to the Post front page, calling out Ilhan Omar's "Some people did something" remarks about 9/11. It's Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's so
Gold.
good.
Gold.
That's, I mean, just beyond parody.
Gold.
There is, I don't, like, come on.
Absolute gold. All right, we should probably call it here, boys.
All right.
We've done well.
You got the Nixon RoboCop.
I was trying again. Yeah, I was trying again.
Bring it back, man.
All right, considering, you know, this is going to come out when it's going to come out, and the proximity between that and the election, I would like to maybe end with a little word.
Yeah.
Look, you got these two candidates. You can vote, you could not vote, you can vote for a third party, a fourth party, quaternary party, tertiary party, whatever you want to do. What's important is that we all share the fundamental commitment to American values, which is invading Mexico, killing off all them indigenous whatevers, what you call them, enslaving an entire race of human beings. You know, these are the core American, this is the Republic, like in Rome, you know, the fascists, you know, that was the bundle of sticks, it still is. Okay, vote or don't vote, this is Jimmy, this is Jimothy, this is Jimothy Squanko, whatever, alright. You gotta cut me off.
Stay cool. Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh my God.
Ciao amore, saluti, auguri, andiamo, questa è la vera serata italiana. Norvegia. Dove si balla bene. E Giuliana, dove sta Matteo? E adesso forza, l'ultima volta.